world of coaching evolving and the carousel always changing, we're going to sit down with some coaches and we're going to figure out what they coach, how they coach, and most importantly, why they got into this profession. My name is Nikaylen Wilkinson, and I am your host of the Coaches Why podcast.
That's a great question.
That was my Coaches Why.
Welcome back to another Coaches Why podcast, guys. We have a very special guest joining the show today. We have Coach Nikaylen Morrison, a coach from Wiley University, assistant baseball coach there. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing well. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Good. Thanks for joining the show. I appreciate it, man. Of course, joining after Coach Kendrick, who was on a few weeks ago. He was our live person. Currently, Coach Morrison and Coach Kendrick know each other. They used to play together, and so he saw the show, and now he's looking to be. I thought it'd be a great opportunity. Another baseball coach, don't get a lot of them, so super excited to touch base with you, man. So appreciate you wanting to be a part of the show.
Yeah, definitely, Casey. I'm very excited to be a part of this. I saw my buddy Peyton getting his shine on, so I was like, man, I'll just slide in right behind him. But he's a great individual.
Absolutely, yeah. I give him a little bit of hard time every chance I get here, at work. But, he's he always gives me this Arkansas. I always blame it on the fact that he's from Arkansas, but I'm like, I don't ever know if he's like happy or mad or not. Like he's just saying same expressions.
He's a mellow person. I'm from Hope, Arkansas myself, so we both kind of mirror each other. We got that little twang going on, so I guess it's about me and click. So.
Absolutely. No, that's cool, man. I'm super excited, and I appreciate you being a fan of the show, or I should say watching that episode, I should say. And so we'll get started talking about you now. So you just mentioned you're from Hope, Arkansas, but is that where you grew up, or did you move there? And then when did you start playing baseball?
So I grew up in Hope, Arkansas, and I was playing baseball since I was probably the age of 3. My Uncle Brian was, throwing me baseballs, and my my mom was throwing me baseballs and put a bat in my hand, and I went on from there. So, throughout my years, I played a lot of sports. I played football, basketball, tried to play soccer. Just that didn't pan out for me. But I knew baseball was my first love once I got probably to high school to middle school, and I started playing more, summer ball, started traveling and stuff like that.
So you fell in love with the game. It never stopped. So as you were growing up, you went to Central Baptist, or I should say, Central Baptist College, right? There in Arkansas. And so what made you go to Central Baptist, and, why did you, tell me I guess that's the answer, or that's the question is, what made you decide to go there?
So one of my summer ball coaches, actually Evan Ham, one day just came up to me and said that he knew, of a school that he thought I'd be a great fit for, and got me in contact with the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator there, Frank Lee, who I adore, and I try to mimic some of my coaching styles off of. But Frank Lee brought me on camp, me and my family now on campus, and we walked around, and by the time we got, there's a tower in the middle of campus that it has Bible scriptures around it. But he took us to the middle of that tower, and he was talking to me, but I just felt a different type of presence when I was right there in the middle of campus. And we went to I can't remember who they were playing that day, but he had us at the game, and I was talking to one of my buddies from college, Percy, and he was on deck at the time, and I was just mesmerized with the environment and the culture. And Coach Aaron Brister, the head coach there, he the way he went about coaching guys up and not trying to just make them better baseball players, but making them better men. That's something that stuck with me forever.
Yep, absolutely. No, whenever you have those type of people who get you that opportunity, and then when you feel it, right, like just the feeling of what you felt when you're in that centerpiece and with all the scriptures around you, and verses around you, it's different whenever you just know, right? So it's pretty cool. So whenever you got done with playing, right? And I know I guess you played some professional ball, right? Like you played in the Frontier League, right? I can't remember what team did you play for?
Lake Erie Crushers.
Lake Erie, right? Okay. So what was that experience like? I mean, what was it anything different from college to that? I mean, tell me the difference between the two and just your experience there.
The difference, I mean, there wasn't just a crazy huge difference. For me, it was, being in college, I had to find my way. Like my first 2 years, were kind of rough because I was in the way of my own self. Everybody said you're your own man. Well, I was my own man. I was battling myself every single day, trying to figure out why I wasn't, the guy, why I couldn't be the guy. And I was so worried about that every day that I forgot that I had to work, behind the camera. You know what I'm saying? So that once I figured that out, my junior and senior year, I started to play a little bit more, started to get my mind right and my body a little bit, in shape more. And I went on from there. But going to the professional side, that's when I was doing okay. And then a little bit of that doubt got in my mind. And, I prayed about some stuff. And the stuff that I prayed about was kind of some of the stuff that got me my first 2 years of college. It kind of came back around. And I just felt like once I ended up taking the spikes off one day, and I felt like a huge relief, like something like a monkey getting off your back is what I felt. So once I felt that, I knew that that was God telling me that, hey, you probably need to start coaching. So
Yeah.
I definitely am blessed with that. I was blessed with that opportunity, but I definitely feel like not only but God knows, what's best for you. And he knew what was
Yeah.
best for me. He's still leading me now.
Well, for one, taking off the shoes, getting that, weight off your back, it's a different feeling as well, and you mentioned how you went through something your freshman sophomore year, right? And then you kind of had some of those same thoughts when you got to Lake Erie. So, but now that you're coaching, how do you coach a kid through that? Like when it, and I know part of it is having the kid probably trust you to like come tell you those type of things, like, hey,
Right.
I'm going through some stuff. But whenever they do come to you, or even if, let's say they don't, but you can tell something's wrong with them, so you're trying to figure out a way to approach it, right? Anyways, long story short, how do you help a kid through that, coach a kid through that, not only for the mental side of things, but also, they're there as well for the sport. So how do you also help them through the tough times of the sport itself?
For me, I tell our guys, like, we have a gate that we drive in. Most baseball fields do. You drive past and boom, you're at the field. So I tell our guys, when you hit that gate, everything that's going on throughout the day, any bad that you're thinking is gone. Like when we get to the baseball field, it's almost like a getaway of some sort. But to answer your question exactly, you just let them know that you're more than their coach. That you can be more than, just a guy giving signs at third base, just a guy hitting fungo, throwing BP. You consistently let them know that every day, and they will, I promise you, they will get to where they're opening up to you so fast. And for me, my first year coaching, I got that type of respect because it's mutual respect to be able to go up to somebody and, especially as a man, like, or especially as young men that, they're taught to, that's a big pride thing. Like, hey, like I'm prideful. I don't want to say anything to coach. You might think I'm soft. I don't think any of our guys are soft for telling me how they feel, especially mentally. That's a huge thing for me because I care about them as people.
Absolutely. I mean, that's ultimately what they are, like, yeah, they are good athletes. They're there for sports and that's why they are there. But at the same time, like you said, they're more than that. You're still going to be somebody, even if you never see the field. You're still going to be somebody if you get injured or whatever, right? So I absolutely agree. I think that's a big deal to make them know that and let them know that. And I think those moments do become a little bit easier for them, but also builds that rapport with your athlete between you and your athlete. So I like that. When whenever you took them spikes off, and I know you said like maybe it's time to start coaching, like, was that something that you knew you wanted to do a long time before that, or was it one of those things where once you took them cleats off, like you decided a few weeks or a few months or whatever, like later down the road, that you decided that you wanted to coach? Like, when did you decide that this is what you wanted to do?
So I knew going into my senior year of college, I knew that I wanted to, give pro ball a shot. And if it didn't work out, I wasn't gonna weep. I wasn't gonna worry. I was gonna go straight into coaching. So I knew then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
What
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, what made you what made you know? Like what was it about the idea of coaching was, something that you knew when you walked into your senior year that's what you wanted to do? What
That
about
I
it?
be
What about coaching?
that I'd be able to tell my story as well, because I know there was more than just me. I knew there was more young men than just myself that were going through that. So the fact that I was able to talk to God, talk to my family, talk to a few other people that mentored me about it, and it made me change, not just my way of thinking, my way of living as well. I wanted to preach that, in my philosophy of coaching, and
Absolutely.
that genuinely made me a lot happier than playing. And I
Oh,
miss
for
playing.
sure.
I miss it every day.
Of
Like
course.
I miss. I'd be out there hitting BP right now in the cages if I could. But
Yeah.
I know that um, what he wants from me is what I'm
Hmm.
doing now because of the way I
Right.
feel every day. Honestly.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm sure I kind of feel the same way. The energy and the excitement I have every day, and just the love, general love for what you got going on. It's different, right? And so, um, I kind of feel the same way about how me right now. And so, whenever you think about your, prayers that you've had with God, like you said, you've mentioned God quite a bit, right? Um, when it comes to all those hardships, all those things like that, right? That you went through either in the professional ranks or at your college side of things. How important, like what were those times like, and how did you approach that conversation?
Hmm. How did I approach that with other people?
No, more like with God, because you've mentioned him a few times,
Right.
right? And I think faith is a big deal, and so I'm just curious to know, what were those what led you to have those conversations?
Just the way I felt. I mean, whenever I
Hmm.
got to the field or whenever I left, like there's been times that it's been stuff that isn't even baseball related that I talked to him about.
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, I just try to whenever I feel like I'm overly anxious or I'm overly thinking about something or I just feel a bit of worriness. That's when I really open up and
Yeah.
I let the pride down and I let him know how I'm feeling and I just ask him if he can please like get me through it one more time.
Whenever you spent some time with some coaches, right? Obviously, as an athlete, you were at CBC. You had a chance a little bit at the pros, right? And you've been around this coaching staff now, and I'm sure you've been around some, obviously your high school and all the way down. So, who was an important coach to you? Like influential? Like who was influential to you, and what did they teach you?
I mean, I could say Dusty Baker, obviously,
Okay. Yeah.
but he's definitely one. But honestly, um, Duffy Guyton, he was our pitching coach, and he was a big mentor of mine who I still talk to this day. Um, I watched how he went about things as well, and it's always with heart. He always spoke about having heart, having a lot of grit. So that's something. The way he went about, coaching our pitchers and and our catchers, that it was just you never want to be, too satisfied, and you never want to, not put in enough work to get to where you want to
Yep.
be.
So, what were you a pitcher? What position did you play?
So I was a first baseman, outfielder, and catcher.
Okay, so being a catcher, you got to work with coach there.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I think it's important, right? Like whenever we have or to have these coaches, and especially if you go into coaching, utilizing some of the things that you've learned from the coaches either that you were under or what you worked with, and I think it's always like an interesting side of things because the more coaches you've got to be around, like traditionally, usually it's not always a good thing, but at the same time, like people may portray that as not a good thing, right? Oh, like you moved around a lot, you got traded. If we're talking like professionally, right? But in general, right, you have these opportunities to work with a lot of different coaches, and it kind of allows you to decide like, oh, I really like the way that coach did this,
Right.
or I didn't really like that, right? Like you can kind of filter the things that you see or that you've been around that you can kind of make your own. So what's one thing that you've taken from either that coach or maybe a different coach, and something that you've taken from them and implemented into your coaching style, or maybe to your practices, maybe to your individual stuff, whatever the case is, basically on the baseball side, and then maybe what's something that you have implemented on the mental or the social side when it comes to coaching on for your athletes.
There's one thing that I took from. I'll speak on. I guess this is like the recruiting and the like mental side is. I don't just go look for good players. I look for good people. So that's a huge one for me. And when a recruit does sign and we get them in, that fall, I'm gonna let them be them. Yeah, I'm gonna tweak some stuff here and there, but I'm not gonna change who they are.
That's important, especially whenever you think about whatever got them there. It's probably because they were doing it pretty well. So not trying to change every single thing right away. It's probably a big piece. Now, do you think that, like, have you ever had any, I wouldn't say backlash, but have you ever faced any, like, in the coaching side of things, like, maybe, like, they don't really want to, right? Or maybe they are listening to you, but they're not really putting in those reps, right? Like, I'm sure you possibly face some people or coach some people like that. So how do you feel like how do you approach that type of situation, right? Like, whenever you have somebody who has a lot of talent, if they could just get their head on with like buy-in, right? It's like, how do you talk to kids like that, or how do you coach through those moments, right, to continue and hopefully have them stick around and actually change that mentality about things?
That's honestly, that's a great question. That's one of the hardest things to do. I don't care what any coach tells you. That's tough to deal with, and it's because you can see who they are and what they could be in the next month or so. But they're just probably complacent, or they're in their head. It's usually something about playing time, and you just let them know that, hey, we have this person in front of you, or this person here, but we see where you could be. How could we get there? And that's showing up to work every day. That's showing up to the classroom every day. They're showing up to the bus on time. They're showing up to the field. It's other stuff all the time.
Yep.
So for us, that's something we spoke to our freshman and sophomore group today about. Half the time, it's not even that, you're not on our varsity roster because you're not talented. It's because you didn't go to chapel, you missed chapel. Or it's because you missed Mr. John Smith's class, and we heard about it during the day. Yeah. So it's usually, I promise you, it's usually not even stuff baseball related.
Yeah. So I mean, that's one of those things where you're obviously trying to instill a good culture, right? And you're trying to instill like foundations of not only baseball but eventually life, right? Obviously, that's going to be similar to like, hey, if you don't show up to work, you're not going to have a job tomorrow or whatever. Yeah. So it's kind of like I can definitely understand the implementation, what you guys have there, and allowing that type of or I should say, continuing to try to like guide that type of like approach every day, I think can be probably irritating, especially like you said, because a lot of times it's the freshmen and sophomores, probably because they're still learning the coaching style, they're still maturing, whatever the case is. But at the same time, like maybe you have some seniors who are being opposite. Maybe the freshmen, sophomores in there are dogs, they're mentally attacking everything. But then you have some seniors who are kind of like, let's just party and not really care, right? So like, what do you like? How are you approaching the freshmen, or how are you approaching the seniors whenever you got that type of thing where the freshmen, sophomores are more mentally going after than the upperclassmen?
You let them know that they're not it, or they're not the only ones. You let them know that you got a dog right behind them that's ready to take their spot. Absolutely. I mean, I really, I don't coach one guy a certain way and the other guy the other one. I mean, a different way, because this guy has X amount of talent, this guy has Y. I coach them the same way. And I mean, if you slip and fall on your own because you wanted to slip and fall, because you wanted to, walk in that puddle, and the guy behind you went around the puddle because he looked down and saw it, Now I'm gonna let you slip and fall because that's something that you want to do.
Yeah.
So, but if that guy behind you he looks down and sees that puddle, he walks around it, then he just walked around it, and he's looking back at you, and now he took your spot. Now he's hitting
Absolutely.
in the 4-hole. Now he's hitting in the lead off, playing outfield.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. Tell them, hey, there's somebody behind you. They're
yeah,
coming
all
for
the
your spot.
time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's just like me
Yeah.
though. Like I'm always like I'm trying to get better at this coaching thing. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'll be satisfied. Probably never. But I know there's somebody right behind me or somebody just looking. And if I slip and fall, they'll come right in this spot. And that's everything I do. So I let them know the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like you're saying, like you're trying to get better at it, and you know that somebody's going to be ready to take your spot whenever if it's not there. Like, yeah, I can definitely, I feel that absolutely, like that's true. Somebody's ready. Somebody will replace you, right? Like if you make mistakes or whatever, or just opportunity run out of time. But like my approach every day is like I want to be the best. Like my goal every day is to do, like if I'm talking on the, I guess, strictly coaching side to the athletics, it's like I want my kids to I'm gonna give them everything that I got to make sure that I can be the best coach for them.
Yeah.
I want to be the best leader as much as I can be as well, like not only here but like everywhere in my life. And my goal is to be the best coach in general when it comes to like the team, right? If I want to be the successful team, I want to be the best team, be the best culture. I want to have the best grades. Like I want all the things you want a good program to be. Like obviously that's what my goal is, and I want to be the best at it. And you got to be willing to put in that damn work every day if you want it as a coach too, you know. So, I like that. Yeah, like you have the mentality of I'm doing everything I can to get better, so I can not necessarily defend my spot, but don't ever have to worry about it because you're doing everything right, you know. So that's fair. So what's some like you've been coaching for? Actually, I don't think I asked you. What is your coaching time? Like when did you start coaching? Actually,
So when I got done in Lake Erie, I flew. So home for me now is Texarkana. So most of my family, like I went up to Conway. Everybody moved towards Texarkana. My grandpa still stays in Hope. I got my other grandmother stays. I got aunties and cousins that stay in Hope.
Yeah.
So when I go home, it's Texarkana. So when we left Ohio, we flew back to Texarkana, and I texted one of my uncles and I said, "Hey, I just got released. Like I'm ready to figure out what's next." And I said I wanted to coach, but I also I just got my kinesiology degree. So my kinesiology degree. So my thought was, okay, let's think about athletic training. So at the time he was still managing the Astros. So he sent me to Sugar Land with Brandon Zumbek, their athletic trainer, and I got to do an internship under him for about a month. And right at the end of that, Coach Lee called me and he said, "Hey, there's this guy named Tanner Rockwell who just took a head coaching job at SAU Tech, a small junior college in Camden, Arkansas, a first-year program." And I was like, "Oh yeah," you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't care. Like I was ready to coach.
Yeah,
like when I got that call, I was ready. So I ended up taking that position the fall of 2022, and we were in the NC or the JUCO, the D2 region of Arkansas and Oklahoma at the time, and had a decent year. But that August, I met a coach named Roderick Sherman that was the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator at Wiley University. So we talked at the camp, and he was teaching me some stuff, and I got his contact information. Over the year, we kept up with each other. And that summer, I was just out on the field one day, just walking around. I think we might have been doing some BP or end of the year stuff with some guys, and I texted him and I asked him how he was doing and stuff, and he already knew what I was getting at. He knew that I wanted to come aboard, so they ended up hiring me, and it was crazy because during that process, like the next week, I met a guy that knew another guy, and I ended up getting an interview from the Texas Rangers Youth Academy, and I started coaching there as well. So, but I'm going into my third year at Wiley.
That's bad. Okay, so that's cool that you've been those few connections you made, it's what opened up your door, right? So, so you've been doing this, like you said, this is your third year at Wiley. What are some challenges, or what are some challenges that you faced from the first time, like your first year coaching to now? You know, what are some things that you've, not on the recruiting side, but more on just general coaching? What do you think are some things you've had to overcome?
So my first year, and you can ask any of my guys on our roster here, or you can ask my head coach or Coach Sherman. I was really like a fiery guy, and like not in a good way. I was ready to jump down throats all the time, and that's because I couldn't understand why such and such couldn't just put it all together. Because I knew how kind of like what we talked about earlier, because I knew how talented he was. So it frustrated me. Like I would leave the field frustrated because I'm like, why couldn't he just do this? And then that's when I realized that I started, like, my mind started feeling, kind of bad, and I started spiraling a little bit to the fact where it almost made me kind of sick. So I had to figure out, over the summer, I coached in the Hangout League as well, so it kind of helped me out. But once you talk to more coaches, and you talk to guys that are coaching in the league and stuff like that, and you watch video, and you sit down and you think about, okay, why did this make me feel like this? So what I started to do is, so my grandmother always took pictures of me growing up, like playing and stuff like that. I went back and looked at the pictures, from high school and everything, and I seen how happy I was. And then I went and I matched those pictures up with how I looked coaching my first year here in 24 in the fall, during the fall. And I was like, I would do mound visits. I would leave the mound. My head would be down and stuff like that. And I was like, but in the high school picture, I'm smiling. I look happy.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let me think about it from a parent's perspective. If John Smith's dad or mother sees my head down when I'm walking off the mound, they're going to think, oh, Coach Morrison has no confidence in my son. Why is he here? That changed me. From then on, besides me feeling sick, from then on, when I thought about the parents and the coaches that used to coach this kid, or little brothers, little sisters, I didn't want that image. So I changed. That's when my philosophy changed. And we ended up winning the regular season that year.
I was saying, so yeah, the changes did matter.
Yeah. I don't believe it was all me, but I think I had a decent part in it. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, like, the whole idea of body language and just knowing, like, the body language does matter, right? Like, if you're like, I think about it, actually one of the first things I asked, I have a mentor coach that I'll talk to every once in a while, and I remember I talked to him, and I was like my very first job, like as a head coach, and I talked to him, and I was like, I don't even remember how the conversation got brought up, to be honest with you, but he ended up saying, like, one of the things I had to learn was body language, and he told me a whole thing, like a whole bunch of things about it, and I was like, okay, I can understand. So then I remember I caught myself a few times, like early on, like kind of reacting to, like, I was like, oh man, like, what are we doing? Or like, and not, I was never like anything crazy, but I, had my body reaction. Then I started realizing, like, I need my kids to see that it's okay. Like, I need to see that, like, I have positive energy after a loss or after whatever the situation was, even though they know they didn't wrestle well, or, whatever the case is, like, it's not my place to make them feel even worse, right? Or want them to see that, my true emotion. So, like, you mentioning that, I think kind of just sparked that in me, because I do know, like, that's such a big thing, especially in today's world. Like, I know you and Peyton are a little bit younger than me, but, like, the idea of, today's kids, these kids are still, they're all about the same age, right, that we're all dealing with right now. So, like, the kids these days, or whatever the case is, just how things are in the evolution of coaching, being able to do that is I think is important, to just match and understand, right? So as you have thought about, or as you've been around the sport, both as an athlete or Damn, that was a deep ass breath, bro. I can't even lie to you. I was like, I feel like I talked for a lot and I didn't even breathe like that. I don't know. I don't know. That's crazy. But so, you know, you've been around the sport, you've coached, you've obviously played it. What do you think is an overrated drill and an underrated drill in this, like on the technical, or I said technical, but drill or technique? There we go. So I guess it is kind of, but anyways, yeah, drill or technique in baseball.
Drill or technique.
Yeah, overrated and underrated.
The overrated is the whole launch angle thing. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. You'll see some stuff on Twitter. I'll see two guys arguing all the time. I'm not gonna say their names, but you probably know. Yeah, but I'm not a big launch angle person at all. I think you get that bro on plane however you get it on plane. I don't care how ugly you look hitting. If you hitting 300, you hit 300, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think underrated nowadays, especially with all the stuff you see on social media, is simply the Ron Washington drills. So, and I feel like those are the small, like they might look boring to some of these younger kids because, you know, they're ready to just get out there and play or get out there and take some fungo right away. I feel like that preparation before a game is the best thing that you can do, or at least before you take that fungo from that coach.
Well, the basics or the little things are, last episode we talked about this. The fundamentals are what gets you there, right? Like the difference from, you know, D1 to major league, right? Or whatever the case is yeah, I guess technically that's the best of the best, but the idea is like it's hard for me to put into words, but like the idea of their mechanics and the way that they work that's what sets them apart, right? And so it's interesting that you'd say that about the technique and some of the overrated and underrated. The launch angle thing though is a very, very valid point. I remember I was listening to some like just one of the announcers last year on like MLB Sports or whatever. And he was like, why do we care about launch angle? He hit a home run 400 feet. That's what it should matter. It doesn't matter about the launch angle and all the, you know, exit velo and all that stuff.
Yeah,
just let's play ball. And yeah, they hit it hard. That's fair, right? Exit velo is kind of cool, but anyways, I do know they talked a lot about the launch angle, and so a focus on that. So do you think like the game is developing to where it's more launch than just contact?
I honestly think it's going back to, you know, somewhat of how it was, you know, back in the, you know, early 2000s, late 90s. So I think guys are starting to I think hitting coaches are starting to not chirp launch angle as much. You got more player coaches and organizations now that aren't, you know, and I'm not saying anybody was, but there were some that were teaching it one way. And hitting definitely isn't one way. Right. So you can look at, I know like the Giants just picked up Harrison Bader. You go look at, they have a young lineup and all those guys hit different. They got Jung Ho Lee, Rafael Devers. Even Bader has a flat plane versus Jung Ho Lee, and you know Devers has a little bit of launch, but he can get flat really quick. So like it's just different. There's a lot of different guys in these lineups now, you know, that go about it a different way, which I absolutely love because that's what the game started off being, you know. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, and just the younger coaches too. Like I mean, like Craig Counsell. He was a great hitter. I mean, he was not really a huge launch angle guy. He was just a lefty who made a lot of contact, right? And obviously he had home runs and stuff, but he was a contact guy. And him coaching, you know, I feel like his teams that he's coached on the last, you know, X amount of years, I feel like they've been a top 15, top 20 team in hitting as a team every year. And it's because, and I don't know, I'm just kind of speaking, hopefully I'm not speaking out of like context here or whatever, but I do believe that because that was his mindset and that may be something he believes will win, right? It's just contact. That's, you know, he was at. So I guess I'm referencing that because, you know, you said the player coach and all that, like how they reference together. You know, if you're an off, it's like, I guess it's just like football coach. If he was a quarterback, he's probably an offensive minded guy. If he played linebacker, he's probably a defensive minded guy. Yeah. So, you know, even if he's a head coach, he probably may still lead the defense versus the offense or whatever, right? So that's what I'm kind of referencing in the terms of this Craig Counsell and that type of coaches is, they can kind of match that. So, okay, so launch angle and so the launch angle was most overrated, and then the most underrated was just the Ron Washington drills. Okay, so how do you coach or give feedback to your team after like a tough loss? Like after it could be a conference title loss. It could be, the regional right before, the winner goes to the World Series and the loser stays home, right? It could just be your conference title. It could be whatever the case is. How do you coach a team after you take a tough loss? And maybe even it's just getting swept. Maybe you talk to them after that. That's hard too, right? So how do you communicate with them and talk to them after something like that?
So this one won't be that hard because we just got swept by University of Houston Victoria. Hats off to them. Great ball.
Okay.
But so our first 2 days we came out pretty flat, and I mean, I think we had 5 errors. The second game, first game might have had 2, but just didn't all around play good baseball. And it wasn't because we weren't talented. It's because that the guys just gave up a little bit. Because they had a guy on the mound dealing, he was pretty good, and we just didn't adjust. So basically, after that second game, when we lost, played a little bit better, but it still wasn't there. Like that fire still wasn't there. That intensity still wasn't there. So after that loss, I talked to them and I said, "Hey, who are you doing this for? Are you just playing this game just to play it? You ain't got to be playing it for me, but you better find somebody to play it for right now." And I know your mamas and your dads and your little cousins, and little sisters.
Yeah.
I know they're gonna come to the games. We had some at the games this weekend at Victoria. So I'm like, who are you doing this for? Think about that. And granted, we lost again. We got swept, but we got walked off. So we were a fly ball away, I think, from winning that game.
You mentioning that, I think, is a really big piece to how to keep somebody grounded, but also how to keep somebody have some fire in their system. I've talked to our girls about that this year. I mean, we've had that conversation, and some people don't know who they're doing it for, so it really kind of makes them find it, and so a lot of times they develop once they truly understand and once they truly start buying into the work for that, obviously for the sport, but the idea that they're doing everything for this person or for this or situation, whatever it is, that mentality and their work ethic will shift, right? And kind of start getting them on the right track. So when it comes to like the development, how do you get a kid to go from JV, or maybe a kid who's just he's on the varsity or whatever, but he may only be getting, if he's a relief pitcher who might get 2 innings or maybe 1 inning in a 4-game series, right? Or you don't get a lot of playing time or whatever the situation is, right? How do you get a kid to go from that to somebody who's ready to start or who's ready to get pitch 2 to 3 games out of that 4 or whatever the case is, right? So how do you get them there, and where do you start with development?
So they usually want the extra work. So, they want to be throwing, and I don't let the guys overthrow anything in inter squads. They usually, they want to go back out for another inning. Like they want to get that feel on the mound. They want to face, our top guys in the lineup, and they want to try to figure it out, in the moment. And I'm a big in the moment guy. Like even our bullpen, some days usually I'll send out a sequence. Like I know our last bullpens, I didn't send out a sequence. But I was, standing there watching, and I'm like, hey, you got a righty in the box. It's 0-2. Let's bury a curveball in the dirt. Well, let's go fastball up and in. Let's get, what I'm saying, give him a chase. So it's stuff like that I'll do, and it'll translate to the mound for them. So, but yeah, it just takes, it starts with them as well. They I said, they usually want the extra work. They usually want to, they'll text me or call me and be like, hey, coach, can we come out for some early? Can you come out and watch this, or can we come out and do some early work? Can you open up the storage building? So it starts right there.
Yeah, starts with them and starts with their want in the first place. So it's fair. So kind of moving on then. So, I have a kind of a question is, how much involvement are you doing with like recruiting, right? Being an assistant, I feel like there's sometimes that you get to help, sometimes you don't, right? And I know every school and every situation's different when it comes to this, but what's your experience like, and what is your involvement with the recruiting side of it with Wiley?
So recruitment, I'm recruiting heavy.
Mhm.
Recruiting heavy. So yeah, it's pretty fun for me. Like I love being able to build relationships because
Yeah.
that starts with that C word, culture. So after that,
Absolutely.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of the recruiting too.
Okay, so you are involved in it. So, what do you? And I know with you, I'm sure you and your the rest of your coaches, right? You guys probably conversate
Oh yeah.
about what you need and what and the people you're talking to, right? Or maybe the things about these people and having those type of conversations. Information conversations. There we go. So what are you kind of looking for when you guys are looking for an athlete, right? And where do you find your athletes? Are you guys staying more local, going regional, national? Like where do international with baseball? We all like international is such a big thing, right? With athletes. So where are you guys looking when you guys talk about that type of thing too?
So honestly, since it's a straight shot to Dallas and Fort Worth for me, I'm right up I-20 all the time. I-20, we'll go to Shreveport, we'll go that way and go to Houston. So I'll try to get the kids from Texarkana, but Texas A&M, Texarkana, Coach Brewster is getting them all. So going
Yeah.
that way really it don't help me much. So we try to stay like I-20, Houston way, and
Yeah.
Shreveport, Louisiana. So
Okay. So you
but
guys are getting a
also
lot.
like I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right. No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Also, being able to see people or see the players in
Mhm.
person and the families is huge for me. Like,
For sure.
I mean, honestly. So, and sometimes we'll go, like, Coach Sherman went up to Detroit and, he
Mhm.
went to recruit up there in the fall. So, like, we'll go off sometimes, but it's
Yeah.
rare that we, go far.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, so you guys are getting a lot of the people from basically southeast, or I guess it'd be eastern, but southeastern Texas, right, and western and southern Louisiana. So with that, like LSU Shreveport obviously did crazy last year, right? Like undefeated season, right? Whatever. I don't know if they're in your conference or not, but are they NAI or are they D?
They're NAI. They're in the Red River.
Yeah.
Oh, Red River. Okay. I was gonna say I didn't know. You guys are in a different one. You guys are in Continental or something like that, right?
No, we were in the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, but now we're in the HBCU Athletic Conference.
Oh, HBCU Athletic. Okay. I got you. Okay. So, anyways, like they're doing that with kind of. I mean, just mentioned them because you mentioned that you're getting athletes from down there, right? So, like, but I've also heard that Louisiana produces a lot of really good baseball. Over the most recent few baseball coaches I've talked to. So I mean obviously Peyton said it and I was like, what, Louisiana?
And then
Yeah,
I
they
really
do.
think, and
but I've heard it, I feel like, since then. And so they have a lot of good baseball. So anyways, whenever you're competing against schools like Shreveport, right, or you're competing against schools like Houston or whatever, there obviously is a bunch of schools down in Houston that have baseball and that whole Eastern board, and LSU, blah blah blah, across the way. So, how are you guys handling? Like, how do you guys handle knowing that you're going against those quote unquote caliber? Like, you got all the divisions going after these kids, and then how are you getting the kids to say yes to you guys?
Honestly, I really try not to worry about the other schools and how they go about it. If you just continue to be yourself, as a coach, and continue to preach that, hey, we're going to let you guys come in and be you, because a lot of coaches don't. A lot of coaches bring guys in to look one way.
yeah.
I'm not saying who does or who doesn't, but I hear that through the grapevine. So, but getting them to say yes for me is just being consistent as possible and staying in contact, like talking, not every day, but at least every other day, maybe twice, 3 times a week, and just say, hey, how are you doing? How's the family doing? What are you up to today? Not even talking about baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just
I know
conversating.
that just conversating, honestly. So like
Yeah.
I've had kids like send me video that I've been talking to since the fall. Like they send me video on their hitting and pitching and hey coach, what could I do to tweak this or
Hmm.
and I'm like I'll give them some tips and I'll be like, okay,
Yeah.
what'd you eat for dinner? You know what I'm saying? Like just
Yeah.
like you know what I'm saying? Like just stuff like that.
For sure. I'll talk to my athletes. I kind of have a system where I'm talking to them, every few weeks. And there's, some are a little bit more longer out and some are in, but I have a system that I do communicate with my kids relatively often, and I think it does help with just the relationships that you build and showing that you truly genuinely care. Because I also tell the girls I'm recruiting, I'm like, hey, if you get to this point in this process with me, it's probably because like something stood out, right? Like
Yeah.
something about and I tell them straight up, I'm like, hey, I've turned people down from coming here, or I stopped communicating with them because like they don't fit what we're trying to build, and I tell them like, I have a big board of a bunch of girls and start narrowing it down, of course, right, for the roster, for the team. And, I start to get picky, which is a good thing. But in general, what I'm getting to is like, I will have those type of thought processes too about, the type of people we're bringing in, and narrowing it down is super important. And just having I don't know why I can't speak or think right now. I don't know why I just went blank right there. That's crazy. I've never done that. Literally just completely went blank. And it's going to be even crazier is I'm probably going to be like, what were we even talking about? That's how blank my mind just went, bro. That's wild. If you guys are listening to this, you can vouch for this. I've never done that before. Okay, so for real though, what were we talking about? Because that's crazy.
Oh, basically just talking about how I know, like you asked how I keep up with recruits and how.
Oh yeah. How you
You
get?
said you had a
Yeah.
board. You had a board.
Yeah. I have a big board, and getting to that level, getting to that point in like, either getting an offer or coming to the school or whatever, right? Like there's people who have got turned away from that point, right? And so I let them know that relatively early about what my goals are and stuff like that. So I tell them that kind of throughout, not because I think it's important, but I think it's just so that they know how special like like for me it is, right? And hopefully for them. And then I communicate with them, like I said, relatively often, just because I think it does make you stand out, right? Like if you're reaching out to them every few days, like that really should show like you actually care. And especially if you're not really talking a lot about the sport, right? Like I feel like that's a big thing. Talking, like, what are you talking about? It's important, right? Like on your recruiting, which I've actually never really talked to anybody about, but like what's important, or what you say and what you're trying to do in your recruiting, time, like how long you're taking, the context, like there's importance to that recruiting call, right? And obviously everybody has their system of what they say, but like what you say is important, and like how you carry the conversation, right? So doing that, if they feel comfortable enough to text you and continue that conversation like that just goes a long way.
Yeah.
I can't believe I went blank there, bro. I'm so sorry. That was
No,
wild
you
to
good.
me. That was wild.
It'll probably happen in the morning when I go work out. So I
Oh, for
usually
sure.
I go blank in the gym all the time.
Yeah. I mean that was the first time that's ever happened. So we'll let it be what it is. But that was wild. But so to kind of get towards the back half here, I'll have a few questions I'd like to ask you. Is kind of we've mentioned the culture word a little bit, right? But actually, before we get that, I have one more question that came up, and I wrote down earlier and I forgot, but I'm asking right now. And I think it's important because in baseball and team sports, right, football, basketball, baseball, all of those, you kind of have this. I wouldn't say political way, but you hear about politics in team sports, right, with like coaches' favorites and stuff like that, right? But as a coach in these team sports, you have to put the best team together on the field as much and as often as possible, right? And so, how do you, kind of a two-parter, how do you help the coaches, and maybe how do you as a coaching staff select your starters, and then how do you help a kid through knowing that he did all the work, he put everything into it, and he's still number 2 on the depth chart, right? So, like, how do you coach a kid through that? But then also, how do you, like I said, select your starters as a coaching staff?
So we basically we're all on the same page for the most part. Like we go off, how we think about how some of the guys went about the week, and because I mean this year, like we're pretty solid, on the position side. So pitching side, we're still pretty young and finding our own groove, but we're finding it. But yeah, you think about how they went about the week, and that's with everything, like with class, with like I said earlier, like showing up on time for stuff. Just how their reactions were to certain things during practice. So we think like discipline. That's a huge thing for us. So if you can't be disciplined enough during the week or during inter squads, then you can't be disciplined, in game 1 of the weekend.
Yep.
So that's how we go about, selecting our starters. But the guy that doesn't get selected, wrote into the lineup as the starter, but feels like, he's right there, then he just has to be patient, honestly. And I let them know, like in that situation, I personally go up to that player, and let them know, hey, your time's coming. Just be a little bit patient with us. We see the work. We seen you put it in every day this week, but he put in just the same amount of, work as you did, maybe a little bit better. And that person usually plays in game 2 or game 3 because they're good enough to. And that's how we go about things, especially like, it's a long season. We're going to play 50 plus games. So it's like, we have guys, and I'm not, saying this to be cocky. We could write in a different 9 every game. That's how confident we are in our guys. And that's how we recruited coming into this year. Because of last year, we had an issue at the end of the year to where we had guys that, just looked exhausted. And it's a difference between not giving it your all, but being exhausted. We had 18 seniors. We had 18 seniors, and most of those guys in the lineup were seniors. And we knew that they weren't just slacking. We knew they were tired. They wanted to play every game last year, and they really did. So up until the end. So we didn't want that problem this year, and we just recruited a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I mean, having a roster that you can fit and plug and play athletes, right, is crucial, and I think it's obviously very beneficial because then you can play them at your discretion. Everybody gets some playing time, right? Like, everybody wants to be the day in, day out starter, but you're also making sure they're healthy by the end of the year, right? Making sure all the variables are taken care of day in and day out. So anybody on any given day, obviously on your it sounds like that you guys can play. And so I think that's huge, right? Like for me, my goal is to have depth to where my number 2 or number 3 can step in and compete with your number 1 every day, any given day, right? That's obviously the goal, because like you said, you never know. Somebody may get hurt, somebody may get sick, somebody just needs a day off. Obviously baseball, you have rest days, and same thing. I've sat some people. I'll sit somebody this weekend because their body needs it. Sat somebody last weekend because their body needed it. We're almost to the end of our season. But still, making those decisions, but also if having the depth that it doesn't affect how well your team does is just as, it's a great feeling. That means your recruiting was done well, right? So it's absolutely a big deal. So now going back to what I was going to say, right? We've mentioned culture a few times on here, like at least just kind of sprinkled in just with the word being thrown out. But how do you build a successful culture on the level of buy-in and mindset?
It starts day 1 of practice. In the fall, we brought the guys in, and we had about 84 guys come in. I think we brought 84 in, and everybody has a gut week or a hell week or whatever. So we had our gut week, and that's honestly. It's nothing but a little bit more conditioning than you do on a regular. Like nobody's trying to make you pass out. It's just a mental test, a big mental test, and you do that because you wanna see where the guys are, stamina wise, and are they conditioned. But it's honestly like, are you going to be able to survive this? The whole college experience, like going to class, having to eat at a certain time before practice, after practice, maybe doing some stuff here. Are you going to be able to survive that?
Yep.
Are you there mentally?
Absolutely.
That's where it starts.
Mm-hmm. It really does. Creating that culture and foundation early and maintaining it and making sure that it's carried through is important. So absolutely, I think that's great advice. Just doing it early so that there's no questions, ifs, ands, or buts about it later on. It's from the jump, So absolutely. So on the level of wins, right? You guys had a pretty good year last year, right? I think you guys were 35 wins, 34 wins, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, yeah, and like 15 or 17 lost, something like that. So pretty successful, right? I know your ultimate goal is to win the World Series, just like what everybody wants to win it, right? So like, how do you build this? I mean, I'd be lying if you said you weren't, right? If that wasn't the goal, how do you build a successful program on terms of wins? So like you did that last year, right? You guys were plus 500. You guys had a pretty good year. So how do you maintain that 30 to 30? Now you're at 30 wins, 35 wins. So how do we maintain this? But also, how do we continue growing and getting to that next level that we want to be at?
I think about it as like I'm coaching third this year, and I'm always like, when we get to 2 strikes, I'm always yelling at my guys, hey, like, stay in the war. Or if it's like a long it be, I'm like, hey, stay in this war. Like, stay in this war, and that means like stay in this war with us, not just for me.
Yeah.
Us. So that's how I go about it. Like when we're going throughout the season, I'm going to make sure that, and there's going to be some like developmental JV guys get called up, and then they're going to join that war. So they're right there on the brink of being in that war, but when they get called up, they're in it. So I like the dugout being in it because they're all in the war. The families are in the war with us. Everybody's in the war together. So that's how I think about it. And I've implemented that, with our team, with our hitters.
Mm-hmm. So third base coach is a pretty important position in the coaching position, like on the coaching staff, right? Like obviously you guys control, like you guys are sending people home or telling people to stay, right? Or you may be the one giving the signs or whatever the case is. Like you are the ones giving the signs on steals or bunts or whatever you're doing. So how do you feel like that position to you? Like what does being in that position mean to you? And how important is it to a baseball team to have a good third base coach?
The importance of it could win you or lose you a ball game. The importance of it, and I'm saying that from me, like if I'm not, on my P's and Q's all the time, literally like all the time, and I miss something, it could be, it could be not giving this guy, a bunt sign, when we had no outs and could have just moved that guy from first over to second.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And but yeah, it could be something as simple as that. It could be something, this weekend there was like fans behind me, and I could hear them out one ear and hear our dugout out the other.
Yeah,
so that's like you want to turn around and it wasn't anything bad, but you want to like you can get caught in a conversating with the dugout too. You can get caught up in that, and they try to get you to like talk to you, so you'll be thrown off your game. But something as simple as just getting caught and missing something.
For sure.
But and waving, making sure that you doing the right thing, and knowing your runners on base and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. The whole conversating part, I can see how they would do that. The very first time I ever heard a catcher talk to me behind the plate as a batter, that whole game I struggled. And I went up to my coach. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, he won't stop. And the coach is like, well, tell him to stop. And I was like, stop. And he's like, no. Like, obviously I was like 12 or I was like 10 or 12, right? Like I was pretty young, but like that first time I was like thrown off. I had no idea. My timing was off because obviously, I'm so used to silence. Anyways, I bring that up because like I can see how that could get you off your game. Just a little bit of chirping, just a little bit of like, what's up, coach, or whatever, right? And it kind of creates that conversation piece. I can see how important it is for you to not get caught up in that chirping back and forth, even if it's not negative, right? But I can see how that important it is. Now, as a third base coach, like, what's your favorite thing about being over there?
Waving, giving the steal, us being safe, and waving. all day long. Those
Yeah.
are my favorite because we do the little the little wrap
Oh
it up thing
yeah. Wrap
yeah,
it
when
up.
we're saying
Yeah.
I love it. So
Hell
and
yeah.
we don't do it as flash, but it's kind of like
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Little
expect
hype. Yeah. Little
yeah
hype.
Nothing crazy, but just a little bit of something.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool though. I remember when people were mad about people, what do they say, pimping home runs and like, walking, doing the big bat flips or whatever. Like, I remember Jose Batista's nasty one, like 20, it might have been whenever the Toronto made the World Series, 2018 maybe, I don't know, but he had a huge bat flip, and I remember it was huge controversy. And so I remember it, and I remember hearing on the other side of it, because obviously baseball, is named America's pastime,
Yeah.
and is a beautiful game, and it's all about showmanship and all that stuff. And then the last like 3 to 5 years, you have Ronald Acuna, hitting that thing and walking, right. Obviously Javier Baez and his cockiness and whatever, right. And so long story short, the game has evolved in terms of like the showmanship or entertainment, I guess. And I think it's kind of cool, like that you guys have a little bit. So I think it's good for the game. I mean, just to show a little bit, right? Like I know, like there's a line between doing too much and like being
Definitely.
excited, and so knowing that line I think is important. Some people don't, but whatever. But I think it's important to have that, right? And I don't know how you feel, but I think that it's made the game pretty cool because it gets me more hyped up. Like, seeing that dude,
Yeah.
struggling, might just be, bro, it might be, that number 7 hitter in the lineup who struggled, and he's facing, I don't know, prime Clayton Kershaw, and he's like, he struggles with him, bottom of the 7th inning, down by 2 with bases loaded, hits a bomb. Hell yeah, I expect him to be a little flashy. Like, he just hit a grand
Yeah, of
slam,
course.
excited, But anyways, I think it's made the game pretty fun.
Yeah, I do too. I really and it gets the babies into it too. Like when they're seeing that on TV, like they're going crazy. I've seen the TikTok videos of that.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching the
Yeah.
game and Jorge Soler or like Yordan Alvarez will pick up a home run. Adolis, his
Mm-hmm.
was amazing. That was
Yep.
crazy. But yeah, stuff like that. I think about like my little cousins and stuff, and them watching games and stuff, and that gets the kids into it as well.
Oh yeah, for
Gets the
sure.
youth to want to keep playing. It's excitement. So
It does. Yeah, it's fun. Wrestling's kind of in the same way in terms of like they've been pretty historic of like just get your hand raised or whatever. But the last 4 to 5 years, you've kind of seen more showmanship after a big win or whatever. They kind of they getting a little hyped up, whatever, and a little bit more. And I remember the same conversation it was, but there's a line to it for sure in my opinion. But I do like the excitement of like getting it done. So you mentioned how you maintain and how you sustain a program with wins. You've mentioned the culture and how you get it to be bought into, right?
yeah,
But what's your why? Why do you do this?
I do this because I wanna make sure young men understand, especially with me being I'm only 27, so you got some
Right.
guys now. I'm coaching guys that are 25. My first year I was coaching a guy that was older than me. So, but
Right.
just making sure you let them understand that hey, I've been through it. Okay,
Mm.
and maybe what I say doesn't get to you all the way, but I'm going to try my hardest to make sure you
Yep.
understand I've been through it, and I'm going to want to get through anything that you're dealing with when you come to the baseball field with you, and we're going to figure it out together.
Yep.
Throughout these years that you're here.
You're here for the kids. You're here for making it better, making them better, I should say. Excuse me. So I like that. If you guys are still watching this episode, if you're on YouTube, make sure you guys hit that bell, like, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. Make sure you guys, if you guys are on the an audio listener, if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, PocketCasts, whatever you are, make sure you guys hit those stars, leave a review, say what you got to say, but say it with your chest because Coach and I want to hear it. Coach, I got one more fun question for you.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you listened to Peyton's answer on this. I don't know if you listened this far in that episode. If you did, if you didn't, you can go back and listen to it. But it means maybe the idea here is kind of more of a debate question. But I think baseball and some of those sports, it's kind of getting to a point where it's kind of commonality. So I might have to change up these questions for you next time you come on here. But this one is, what state produces the best high school baseball?
Oh man, I wish I knew what he said. I got a feeling I do know. I think I know. Texas.
I mean, he said I think he said Texas or Louisiana, I think is what he said.
Okay, I'm not leaving Arkansas out at all. So because but like no,
I mean,
honestly, if you've looked at the past few years, it's been Texas.
I think you said Oklahoma too. He might have said that because he might have said that because he's coaching here, but he did say Oklahoma. So
I mean, yeah, like we were like at Tech. I mean, that D2 region was crazy. Like we played NOC Enid, NOC Tonkawa, Murray State was amazing. They were in the middle of nowhere. Had dudes. Just had Western Oklahoma's out. They're out there, and then you got Carlisle. I mean, it's a great state, and I hadn't really ever just been to Oklahoma and through Oklahoma. All I remember is those windmills, but I remember more about the talent that I coached against. That I've seen.
Yeah. I mean,
I've heard that Oklahoma. I mean, I know Oklahoma's good because of their baseball. At the college level, I know they're pretty good. I also know that I just kind of know from being from where I'm from. Because my state, I mean, being from New Mexico, was kind of a baseball state in regards to just the support, right? Like support of the sports, at least maybe in my county, but the state is definitely a baseball state. Like Alex Bregman's from there.
Yeah.
Dwayne Ward back in the 80s, 90s was from there. So Posey, from the Giants, the catcher back in the day. So
Buster Posey?
Yeah, Buster Posey. Thank you. I want to say Baxter, but it's Buster. You're right. Yes. Anyway, so we're definitely that. But Oklahoma, I've heard that. I'll never say, just so you know, I'll never say my answer. Maybe I will for other sports, like if I from a third person perspective. I'm not in the sport like that, but I don't think I can give up wrestling like that because I feel like that would take it away. But I appreciate you saying that. So your 3 is Arkansas, Texas, and what's the third one? You said Louisiana. You said
Louisiana.
You said Louisiana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oklahoma's right there though. It's hard.
Hey, don't come back now. All right, you didn't put us in your top 3 off the rip, bro. You said Arkansas because it's your state, Texas and Louisiana. That's what you had. Don't come running now, okay? If you have that Oklahoma recruit, say bye. You did it.
I actually got 2 right now that I'm talking.
Oh, you better hope I delete this out of this thing and don't make the cut.
Okay,
I gotta
watch a few more. I gotta watch a few more out of state tournaments. So I gotta pay attention.
Yeah. What were those Oklahoma boys' names? Because I might have to send them a little DM with a clip or something to let them know.
I forgot.
No, I forgot.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. No. But okay. Yeah. So let's say Oklahoma's in your close to it, right? Let's just say they're your top 5. We'll just keep it there, because you said your top 3. Oklahoma's number 4.
Yeah, they're definitely 4. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll take that. So that's fair. Well, Coach, I appreciate you jumping on here, man. Actually, I have one more question for you. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Peyton real quick.
Okay.
Who is the GOAT?
Albert Pujols.
Really?
Yeah.
That is a pull. All right. That's crazy work. I never heard that. Never heard Pujols as the GOAT.
Really?
Never. And I'm not even saying that in a podcast form. I'm saying I grew up playing baseball. Baseball is my favorite sport growing up. I talked to my kids. I could talk to Peyton all the time and the coaching staff, and I talk baseball a lot. I've never heard Albert Pujols.
I was thinking about it. My first game going to, I want to say I was 7. It was a Cardinals game, and I saw him standing in the box, and I figured out who he was, and my mind would never change.
Okay. All right, bro. I respect it. I respect it. My very first baseball game was in Colorado Rocky Stadium,
Nice.
Coors Field, I guess.
Crazy elevation.
Yeah, and I got to see Barry Bonds and Todd Helton
Go after back in
two
like 05 or 04, somewhere in that ballpark, towards the end of Barry Bonds' time. And like Todd Helton's like prime, like starting to get into his prime. So
yeah.
it was a pretty sick. My mom actually got hit with a foul ball from Barry Bonds, line drive in BP. Like before game, we were down there waiting for autographs.
Yeah.
Everybody ducked. I was young, right? So at that time I was
you're
probably like 8. I was like 8 or 9, and I was like, I had never seen 100-mile-an-hour fastball plus coming at you, right? Pulled from the left side down the line from
You
Barry
barely got
Bonds.
time to get out the way.
Like,
We all ducked.
my mom,
Didn't, and so she got beamed on the thigh. And crazy part is we didn't even get the ball. Some kid ran off with it, and we were like, obviously more worried about my mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she ended up like having to get her knee drained. Like it was a bad bruise. Like it was bad. So like it's kind of a cool story. My mom got hurt. That sucks. But like wish we could have got that ball. But like it's just kind of a cool memory. Like yeah, I got to see Barry Bonds like before the time race. So for a long time. Barry Bonds, Todd Helton. Like Todd Helton was my boy for a hot minute, but Albert Pujols, all right, bro. I respect it.
Were you a lefty?
I was a switch.
Oh, okay. See, I was a righty.
Well, I batted righty for a long time, and then probably going from 8th grade to 9th grade, somewhere in there. I never really batted switch for high school. Because I didn't really trust it that they would like it, so I just batted righty. But I developed it over summer ball, and so when I got to play in the Connie Mack Worlds, like I got to play, 17, 18 years old. Towards the end of that time, right, there was like Connie Mack World Series and like all the regionals for like all the qualifications for that and stuff. I batted switch when I got into those side of things, but. Yeah, I mean, I still bat switch. Like, I play wiffle ball and stuff sometime when the kids, like, because the wrestlers have bought a wiffle ball set and they're all playing it one day. And so, like, I'd bat one side and then the other time I'd bat lefty. And they're like, weren't you just that way? I'm like, yeah, but I bat switch. So, righty, I was always more for power. Lefty, if it was, like, more contact, I was always fascinated by the slap hitter in softball. I grew up watching all the Women's College World Series for softball. Always did.
I applaud. If I could slap, I would do that all day long from the left side.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely. So like, yeah, facts. So, I was always intrigued by it, but I was always a righty. So when I got older and I started like having my own like training sessions and stuff and like doing my own thing, I went to the left side just for S&Gs. Actually, fun fact, I actually started batting lefty in wiffle ball when I was probably 7th or 8th grade playing with my cousin. I was just like, I would practice throwing lefty. I practiced hitting lefty just to say, because it was just me and him playing wiffle ball. So I'd be like always throwing righty, always throwing lefties, or always right and right. And I was like, let me just practice and have like mess around, have fun. Obviously, the lefty throwing was never good, but like I started being able to time and like stay on good plane with my left side. And then I tried it. Literally, this was all over summer, obviously playing wiffle ball. So I tried it like that season of winter or summer ball, and like very first AB, like I was like, Coach, let me try. He said, yeah, I got a hit, and I was like, all right, like
here we go.
Maybe we can start playing switch. So I did for a little while, but I mean not my whole life. But yeah, I was a switch hitter, depending on situation. If I was in a slump on my right side too. Like, there was times where I'd go, like, and summer ball was crazy because I was usually really good at hitting in summer for some reason. Like, I was way better at summer ball than anything else for some reason. But, like, there was times where I'd go in a pretty big slump. Like, a few ABs, 0 for 4, 0 for 5 in a row. And so I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I'd go to left side and just switch my timing, switch my eye, right, and help me kind of get back on track. And then go back to right side, and then I'd kind of figure it out. So, anyways, yeah, I was a switch guy, but I played third, first, and pitched.
Okay, nice. I would love to switch it. I tried it, but it The left side just went for me for some reason. So,
It's different, man. I don't know. Like one of my favorite players growing up was Ichiro too. Like I'm saying all the lefties, but like my favorite players were all righties. Todd Helton was my boy, of course, just because he's Todd Helton, and that was my first guy I got to see. Barry Bonds because he was Barry Bonds and I was young.
yeah.
But like truly, when I got older and started like developing understanding of players, like I'm a Mets fan, New York Mets. So like I had like David Wright. I was gonna say Derek Jeter, but
Yeah, right.
David Wright. Jose Reyes was actually one of my favorite players forever, and he was a switch hitter. I loved him playing shortstop. He was just an athlete, and so I loved seeing him. So now, like Francisco Lindor's cool because he's my boy too, you know. So, anyways, like I developed a love for a lot of players. A lot of my favorite players ended up being switch hitters. I mean, outside of like Ichiro and like Barry Bonds, Todd Helton, those guys when I was young. But as I got older, a lot of my favorite guys were switch hitters. It's crazy to think about. I didn't even realize that till we just talked about it. Like till I just thought about like who I loved back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you jumping on, man. I really do. Hopefully you guys listening to this had a good episode as well, and you guys enjoyed it. Coach, love to talk to you again. I don't know why my brain went flat today, but I do. I would love to get you back on and reattempt that with maybe a better flow state of brain, because I don't know why it lost there, but I'd love to get you on again maybe at one point and chit chat again. So if that is something you'd love, if something you'd like to do, I'd love to have it.
For sure, I'd love to be back on. This was awesome, man. I mean, I love talking to somebody who's passionate about what they do, and it's something I can learn from you, and anything you can learn from me. For
sure, absolutely, bro. I would love to continue that relationship. I mean, so I'd love to jump on another show at some point in the future, probably sometime after season, of course, with you. I mean, I know you're about to start getting full, like busy. So we'll definitely chop it up at some point over or after season. We can definitely figure that out. So, but with that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening, Coach. I really appreciate you jumping on here, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.